It is Talking Reds. Good morning, Reds. I am Neil Atkinson. This is Craig Hannan. You know what the biggest myth about the Anfield Wrap is?
Go on.
The biggest myth... Oh, God, let me silence this. How's that work there? Could have done that before we started, couldn't I, really? We'll sort that out in a minute or two. The biggest myth about the Anfield Wrap, first and foremost, is theoretically my competence. But secondly, I think it's that I'm sound. Like, I'm not sound.
Well,
I'm the worst person alive in lots of ways.
You're being very harsh.
I'm unbelievably needly.
I don't think that's I think that's outside of. I think that's outside of soundness. I'd say I'm needly, but I'd still like to think that I'm sound on the whole. I'm a good person, but I love the fucking needle. Do you know what I mean? When there's needle to be had.
So I was unbearably delighted by last night's association football results.
Yeah, I knew you would be.
And it is because at the same time, like, it is part of the fun. And there's a lot of chat at the minute about, obviously it's been a bit stressful dealing with the Manchester City juggernaut at one end of the table. There's been for the last couple of seasons. Last season was no battle or laughs because of the injuries. Lost 6 consecutive home games. But in general, this is amongst the best times you could ever have to support Liverpool Football Club. We all agree with this. Yeah. But one of the reasons why that is also the case is it doesn't half help that Manchester United and Everton are crap. It really doesn't half add another. It's like just sort of it's like unpeeling the layers of why this is really good fun at the moment. Then every now and again you get one like last night where they're both playing at once, and in every single way it's almost the best way it could have gone wrong for both of them. Yeah. United look quite good, get ahead. It falls apart in the second half, so yet again they feel like they'll never be able to solve these problems. Everton go 1-0 up at Newcastle. The Blues are back because they were back after the FA Cup win against Brentford, and they get to enjoy it for less than 60 seconds.
Oh, that's the best bit. That was the best bit about all of this. They didn't even get the joy of being in the away ground and being able to sort of ton the Newcastle fans and all of this. They didn't get any of that. I mean, last night the Everton game felt like the X Factor on a Saturday night in 2008. It was like this TV event on my WhatsApp. So everyone was like, "You're getting on the Blues tonight." It just had this feeling. I know John had spoken to the lad from True Thief. His name is Alex Hurst, and he was talking about how they'd all got out and they'd all got off work, and it was like this huge game for them as well. And then it just pans out the way it did. And where did you watch the match?
I might have been out in Liverpool City Centre.
I knew you would.
That might have been the case.
See what I mean? X Factor. It's a big night out. It's a big moment TV, and you took yourself on a night out for it. What an excuse, by the way.
This is also
like you don't already have enough of those.
I know. This is also one of the examples of my lack of soundness. Literally last night, I played snooker from 5 p.m. I didn't even. By the way, yesterday we're doing a thing at the minute where it's a bit variable as to where we work for obvious sort of COVID reasons. I'm sure you appreciate we don't want to take sorts of chances. So yesterday I came into the city specifically not to come to work and then go out after to play snooker and then go out and watch the Blues. It was the only reason I came to the city. Didn't come in the office, didn't even think about coming in the office. No, that was my unbelievably self-indulgent Tuesday night. I think we talked about United on 3 strikes, and we'll get to talking about Liverpool in a minute. We talked about United on 3 strikes. One of the things we said was United are a massive club, in the same way Liverpool are. And I don't think it'll take much I've always said it won't take much for United to sort themselves out. The money's coming in all the time. They are the famous Manchester United. I doff my cap to the famous Manchester United because for me there's only really 2 teams in this country that matter, and we're one of them and they're the other one. Everything else is a local skirmish as far as I'm concerned. But all of that said, my whole thing about this is I've gone from thinking it won't take much to straighten these problems out to unknot these problems, to these problems looking like a bundle of about 100 shoelaces all tied together, and you're never going to get the 100 shoelaces separate anymore. And I'm without the use of a knife to sacrifice some and just make the best of others. 'Cause I'm just watching United all the time whenever I catch them, and I just think they don't even entirely look like a football team.
No, they don't look as if they have any sort of identity. The thing I expect out of Ralph Rangnick, and I don't know very much about him, I know that his football operations and the credentials in behind the scenes, he's held up there, isn't he, in high regard within football, but I wasn't sure of him managerially. But one of the things that people kept saying was that Klopp had learnt from him and all of this. Yeah. So I expected at least for him to come in and there be a shift in how they played, not dramatic, but more thoughtful and a bit of hard work and just a bit more don't know, just something about them, and there's absolutely nothing about them.
Yeah.
There's just nothing. You look around the pitch and it's like, even if Sancho scores one, it's like, well, still don't see him going on this run that, like, shows.
There's nothing to
that,
hang your hat on.
Yeah, exactly, and that's. I mean, I'm in WhatsApp groups with United fans back home, and it's enjoyable. It's just they're bereft of any sort of hope, any expectation going into the game. The only expectation that they have is they're going to be bored senseless by what they watch.
That's fair. Well, the one thing I would say is, and we've got to have an eye on this. Listen, you don't want to go more than one game ahead. We've got Leicester on Thursday. I think Burnley could be the first team in years, I mean literally years, who in February, well, it's almost mid-February to be honest, February's not a long month, who I think they could be the toughest team in 20th to play against. Like, Weghorst got man of the match last night, and he looks an absolute living nightmare as a footballer to have
big
to deal
man,
with.
great feet,
big
man,
really great feet, reads the game. He clearly reads the game really well, knows where his teammates are going to be, even if those teammates are quite limited. They've got a real organisation. The centre-halves are very, very good players. The goalkeeper's having a bad season, but he's a decent player as well. In the compact all the time, Burnley, they just can't win. They're not losing that many. They've lost the fewest games in the bottom half, even now that they're beginning to have...
They don't concede many either.
No, they've conceded less than United. They've conceded less than everybody else than everybody else in the bottom half.
Yeah.
And, for me, it's something for us to bear in mind with Sunday as well. It's something that's your one mitigating factor for Manchester United, I think, is that at the minute, playing Burnley just looks like no fun whatsoever.
Which is what we could always say about them. It just sort of felt as if this time maybe they'd gone they'd stayed 1 year too much. Maybe that's why I was looking at them at Christmas and thinking, do you know what? Maybe it's time for Sean Dyche to go somewhere else to a bigger and better job, and maybe it's time for Burnley to go down, and then we all sort of reassess what they are within the sort of football pyramid. But I think you're right. The new signing up front, Weghorst, looks great. I watched him a couple of times for Holland actually, just because of Gini Wijnaldum back in the day, and there's a couple where he scored. He just looked like a real threat, both on the deck and in the air. And you're right, I think just a new signing like that will sort of revitalise them all. I thought that it was a decent bit of business. I know not a lot of people didn't, but around Chris Wood, not because I like him as a footballer, because I know you do, but more so the idea that you might be paying 20 million, you might be paying too much for him, but you'll get double figures and you're taking him from one of your rivals, which is strategically is intelligent. But yeah, I think it's going to be difficult on Sunday. I still expect the Reds to go there and be the Reds. Of course, no, I think you've got to expect that, and we'll come on to talk about Thursday in a minute or two. On the Blues then, who you can expect to be the Blues, where I think he's going to have hard lines, Lampard, is he's got a bit of a break coming up between Leeds and Southampton, which I think he's going to need to do something with them, because he wants to play quite differently to Benitez, and I think he actually wants to play quite differently to Ancelotti. I think Ancelotti... There was phases of his time at Everton where he had a little look at them and decided that he was trying to get them to play a little bit, and then he fell back onto a bit of we let the opposition have the ball, we looked to counter at key moments, especially away from home, but also at times at home. Benitez did the same thing. If Lampard wants them to play football, he's going to have to get some football in them quick, because they haven't been doing much work around that sort of thing. And I was seeing them against Newcastle, and I thought Newcastle were first to everything, snapping into things, but I think they also felt Everton are vulnerable here. They're going to try and overplay, and we can get the ball off them quick. And then when they could turn them around ever so quickly, they've got Sam Maximan, who exploited that space brilliantly. And I was just watching it thinking, if Lampard's not sure here, or if this stops if this doesn't start working at any point, there's a chance they're just doing training sessions and they're making themselves more vulnerable, not less. Yeah, it's a really, really difficult position they find themselves in. You look at their fixture list is absolutely dreadful. So it's Leeds 3 p.m. next. I know them all because that's 3 p.m. Leeds. Then they're away at Southampton. Exactly, and if you look at it's like top six. After that point, it just becomes very, very difficult. And I think, if I'm an Everton fan, I was looking at last night and thinking, just don't get beat. Don't get beaten that game because of where Newcastle are. We draw. Surely they've got enough about them. We've got new signings, Dele Alli. They've got Van de Beek. They've got Calvert-Lewin coming back. They've got a new manager bounce. All of this sort of thing. But they go and get beat, and then suddenly you're going to Leeds and saying, "Well, we might need to win here." Well, I think they needed 5 points from the 3 of Newcastle, Leeds and Southampton. Not least because it would have meant that no one's gained any ground on them, and they'll have gained ground on one of those 3. I think there's nothing wrong from an Everton point of view. I think Brentford are going to get pulled back into this. But now I think if Everton don't beat Leeds or Southampton, and especially if they draw one and lose one, it's a bottom 6. I think with Everton and Brentford in it, with Newcastle in it, and then with the current bottom 3 of Norwich, Burnley and Watford. And that would, for me, would be hugely concerning territory, because you look at Everton's fixtures that are to come in both the short and even medium term.
They're not playing. They've played Norwich twice. They've still got to play Watford, and they've still got to play Newcastle, and they've still got to play Burnley. The point is they've not got that much in the sort of the middle where you get to go, well, you'd fancy them, or you'd fancy this, or you'd fancy the other. You know, the easiest game after, I think, the one coming up against Leeds at home they've got left, Palace. And we've said Palace are quite good all season.
Like, I can't work out if me and you're just trying to talk ourselves into the thing that we want to happen. And I almost don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to jinx it, but I think, you know, when you look at Burnley, for instance, they've got Dyche, they all have full trust in him. They've just got this new signing. They've got the games in hand. You look at Watford, who have, you know, not been great, but then, you know, you look at them last night. They hold out against West Ham for quite a long time. You mentioned the XG before we come on. It was what?
Miserable. It was 1.1 XG from both sides over the course of the game. So Watford 0.4, West Ham 0.7. West Ham get the win.
That's what Roy Hodgson wants. He wants it to make it even more miserable, and that's how he'll see. You know, he's done this before. He's brought up teams from relegation, so you trust him to be able to do the best job possible of any manager that was out there in the you know, where they are in the league and where they want to be in the league at the end of the season. You then got Newcastle, who have made some signings, some really sensible signings. I think they find a bit of form, 2 wins, 2 draws. Look at that Bruno lad. I can't say his surname. The Brazilian lad comes on last night. He was only on the pitch 4 minutes, wins the ball back twice, sets up St. Maximin. He looked a fucking proper player.
Looks a really good footballer.
And I know they were surprised that Leon had let him go. So there's things right now. If I'm an Everton fan, I'm thinking, well, you know, Calvert-Lewin. I'm thinking Gordon on the left's like a bit of a good player. You know, really good. He was good towards the end as well last night. Like, getting stuck in, you could see it means a lot to him. You know, they've got these 2 new signings as well. I just think if I'm backing any of them, if Everton don't beat Leeds at the weekend, I'm putting a little bet on, I think.
So, yeah, for me, I think Norwich and Watford will find it difficult from this point, and I think you get to the point that it's any one from any of the others, and that'd be concerning. I still think Brentford can get sucked back in. Watch the Brentford play Manchester City tonight. Go to Manchester City. I'd expect them to get absolutely nothing from that game. You never know your luck with a mad Manchester City draw in there as well. We've got Leicester tomorrow. Before then, Leicester tomorrow. I do not think Sadio Mane will start, but his T-shirt is in stock at the Anfield Wrap. For 10 of your English pounds, it is available. I don't think he starts against Leicester. Mo Salah, on the other hand, his T-shirt is back in stock. I think he does start against Leicester.
I'm really worried about this, you know.
Why are you worried?
It's like I feel like I'm his ma, and I'm like, do you really think it's sensible that you should be going in playing another game of footy after you've done all of these games of footy? It's like, you know, when your ma says, like, do you really need another night out? Do you know, you've been out all this week. It's that I've got those sort of vibes, and you know, I saw him in training. He's got like that face of a fella who's fucking furious. And you know, me and Gareth said on the Bacon Butty earlier on the week that, you know, him coming back angry and Sadio coming back sort of you know, dead confident and excited about the rest of the season. So it's Liverpool down to the ground. But I'm just worried about his little legs. It's a lot of football.
It is a lot of football. So do you want my theory here? Is I think the manager deals with the individual, which is the idea that Mo Salah is desperate to play another game of football to get the last one out of his system. Mo Salah starts against Leicester. He doesn't start at Burnley. So, and at Leicester, if the result is in the bag, he comes off on 60, and he gets his huge round, and he possibly comes off for Sadio Mane. He gets his huge round of applause from the cop. Hopefully he's bagged 1 or 2. That's what we'd like. He gets his big round of applause from the cop. Sadio then gets his big round of applause from the cop, gets to run around for half an hour, and hopefully a low-maintenance game at that point. And everyone gets to feel good about things, and then Mo doesn't start against Burnley, gets another half an hour in his legs after that, and then he starts it into Milan. And that's how I think the manager will deal with it. And I hope that relaxes you a little bit. And that's the way in which I see it going. Other thing as well is, so team talks out today. We haven't done the press conference yet, obviously, because we're down to Jurgen on that one. He decides when the press conference is, not me. Over a period of time, we hope to resolve this situation.
I reckon at some stage you will. At some stage, Jurgen will text you and say, when's it work around your schedule and spreadsheet? When
will it work for the Anfield Wrap? And I'll say, Jurgen, to be honest with you, we'd like a bit of consistency first and foremost. Don't start doing match shit at 9:30 in the morning. Doesn't help us here and there. But anyway, we'll get there, us and Jurgen, over a period of time. Not every Liverpool manager's perfect, and it's worth bearing that in mind.
But he's almost perfect.
He's almost perfect. I think that he's doing his press conference later, so we haven't done Team Talk yet, so I've done the insert for Team Talk, and I spoke to Pete Selby of For Fox's Sake podcast, and Pete said, I asked him for a score prediction, and his score prediction was Liverpool 5, Leicester City 0. Now, that can sound like crying it in, and one of the things I then said was I thought that there might be a sort of similar scoreline, to be honest with you, when we went to King Power in December, and then, you know, Leicester believed that it wore on. But my attitude to that is they didn't believe because Liverpool let them believe. I think if Liverpool don't let them believe on Thursday night, if Liverpool do score the early goal, Pete's position is this could just unravel for us really quickly.
The longer that game went, the longer the more chances missed. It starts with the penalty miss at the King Power, and there's I think there's a Mane chance and so on, and it just becomes this thing of like, I thought it was going to be 0-0, and then they find a way with that one chance that they get. I'm very confident about Thursday night. I think there's just so much going for Liverpool, not just in terms of the players coming back, the mood in the stands, how good the second half was at the weekend after how sort of, it was all a bit shite the first half at the weekend, but the second half everyone was lifted. The new signing comes on, he makes a difference. Harvey Elliott scores. We've got Salah back, Mane. I wouldn't have Mane back, to be honest. I'd send him on a little holiday now. If we're bringing Salah back, I'd have him on a little holiday and maybe have him back for Burnley. But I'll leave that one to Jurgen. He knows better than I do.
I think he'll have Mane on the bench because I think he'd love the idea of Mane getting to do 10 minutes in front of Anfield, where he's won what he's won there and being acclaimed. Like I think there will be a desire to support both of them in different ways through the game. I think that I'm. As daft as it sounds, in the way which I've got to wonder whether or not I'd articulate this about, did I articulate this, for instance, about Henderson when England got to the final of the Euros? I'm not sure if I did or not, but maybe I should have done, in that it would also have been true then. It's whether I said it in public. But I'm proud of both of them. And I'm pleased for both of them, and you can't be. It wasn't like one of them. It wasn't like they could both win. Is the point? So far as both of them got as far as they could, I am genuinely proud and pleased for both of them. I was pleased for Henderson in the summer, in terms of the fact that he contributed to that. I think he might have felt a bit more present if he'd have played more games. To be honest with you, in amongst all of that. But I think it is, to have you get to see when you see the scenes in Senegal. You get to see literally the pressure that was on Sadio Mane around that, both the penalty in normal time.
The second penalty, though.
He was never with the team. The camera kept cutting back, and he was having a little walk on his own.
He was having a breakdown, is what I would call it. And that would be me. Yeah. You've seen me watching the match. That would be me thinking, I've missed this penalty at Jericho Lane early on. I've got this penalty now to win it at Jericho Lane. Yeah. But fuck me, did he put it away? I actually leapt out of my seat when he scored it just because of the way he scored it. It wasn't didn't trickle in. It wasn't one where the keeper should have saved it. It was fucking blammed right in the corner. It was the most hit I think I've ever seen a penalty. It was like he just thought, right, I'm doing this. So I liked that the pacing around was, I'm on the fifth one here. It's almost certainly going to get taken. And he's pacing around and he's just sort of going through his options for how to take this penalty. Like he's had a minute on one of the walks where he's gone, Penenka? and then he's turned around and gone, fucking hell, lad, no way. Like a little angel, a little devil on his shoulder. Yeah. But the thing about all of this is that we're in a position where I'm able to say I wouldn't bring Salah back immediately, or I wouldn't bring Sadio Mane back immediately, which, if a year ago you'd said that to us, it would sound insane. But now we've got the options, we've got, this shift in mood, we've got I feel like this part of the season is like, you're on the top of a wave almost, and you're about to fucking ride it now, and riding it's the best bit, isn't it, Neil? That's how I feel like the end of the season's going to go.
It could be tremendous. It is all toppling downhill from here. Unexpected Tuesday nights out watching some football. There might be a Wednesday night that gets your attention at some point tonight at the Etihad. I don't think so, but you never know. You look in the raffle. On Thursday, the mighty boys in red come up against Leicester City. Brendan Rodgers is Leicester City when he's just told them all they're all crap. But that happened last time and they managed to get something off.
Interesting tactic.
Yeah, a lot riding on it on that one. Team talk to come today. 3 strikes was an absolute belter. Mikael Mo and Gareth had a really good time doing that one. Do check that out as well. What else have we got for you? We've got preview videos. We will have Friday's show weirdly coming together prior to the weekend's games. Thursday obviously it complicates things, but you know the way it is at the Anfield Wrap. We may well be the worst people alive. That might be true, but we're very hard working. Download the app, enjoy it all. This fella.